Philippines up against Finland match, which is damned exciting if you ask me. And of course, the big underdog, he's representing my region, Oceania, and the rest of Asia down here in the bottom left-hand side in the red. He is the one and only EnDerr. Representing Liab Esports.
And of course, in the top right side, we're looking at the main base of the man who was able to win the season finals of the DreamHack SC2 Masters summer. It is Serral. Of course, representing ENS Esport, as he has been doing for a very long time. All right, Pig, ZVZ. I think a lot of people kind of know what to expect from Serral. I don't think he's going to do anything wild or crazy in this best of 3. He's probably just going to scout and react. What do you think EnDerr is going to bring to the table?
Upgraded Zerglings would be my guess, but I'm also thinking Nidus Worms and Mutas. This was actually EnDerr's map pick for map number 1, and he chose the biggest, longest rush distance map pool. I think EnDerr here is actually, interestingly, opening up with a very fast gas pool into hatchery. And that's not like a super quick hatchery behind it, already going straight 6 Zerglings. So it looks like he's going to be kind of snaking them around the side of the map, seeing what he can get done, even delaying his queen a fair little bit for that. Now, obviously, I think you're going up against Serral, a guy who scouts like crazy. You want to create some dynamic movement on the map. You want to create some chaos, some potential tech switches. And that's why, like, the Nidus is, I think, the more, I guess, simplistic all-in attack that kind of comes to mind. But Mutalisks are a big thing that Serral has traditionally, obviously, struggled with against Raynor. That's something everyone's very aware of. Serral's tweeted about it many times after his losses to Raynor, where he's like, man, I still really struggle against Mutas. So I think those are some of the key things that EnDerr should be focusing on here.
I'm a little bit surprised by this opening because he didn't try to hide the Zerglings. He just ran them underneath one of those Overlords, so Serral gets the heads up. Serral now knows that he needs to produce a couple of safety Zerglings as well. But if you make 6 Zerglings this early, as he does trap one of the links of Serral, that's a great start for EnDerr. Like, this does really hurt your economy, and obviously he's been mining gas a little bit earlier as well. EnDerr needs to be able to do some damage here, otherwise he's kind of putting himself in a very compromising spot very early on. And so far, Pig, I don't think this was good enough.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't get him ahead. This is a real kind of tempo, momentum sort of opening, right? I love this opening when you're up against someone who's a bit weaker than you, or if you feel you can pull one over them in terms of like taking, you know, some sort of corner cutting behind the pressure. And it seems like EnDerr's choice here is to say, let's really delay the Baneling Nest. I mean, Ling Speed kicks in. It's going to go out for a second wave of Speedling pressure. Has a very quick third behind this. So EnDerr's going to try and just get the lava production to jump up to the next level. You'll notice Serral here actually walling off. So potentially even overreacting here. Serral being exceptionally safe, though. That is a very good wall off. He can always cancel that Evo chamber. Notice he pulls the other drone, pulls it back quickly. Just nice flexibility from Serral. His Banelings are ready, so I think he cancels that middle Evo chamber, and he is completely safe.
Well, he's even going to cancel 2 out of 3. He's got those 2 Banelings, and then needs to be very careful here. I gotta say, I don't really mind Serral's reaction, because if I was Serral after what I scouted, but like, whoa, that's a lot of Zerglings. Speed is ready as well. Are you all in me? Because you kind of need to do something. Then it wasn't. So it's like, okay, and where are we going? It kind of feels like he's trying to trick Serral. But at the end of the day, he's kind of only tricking himself at this point because he's still 5 drones behind. The only advantage he really has is that the 3rd hatchery is a lot quicker. I like the idea of all of this, Pig, but I don't feel it's really going anywhere up to this point.
Yeah, that second queen was really late. It just popped out for EnDerr. I thought we'd see a bit of a harder droning behind that second wave, right? But he's actually built safety Banelings. I think he really is expecting kind of Serral to counterpunch across the map. And Serral is like, no, mate, I am comfortable in my side. I'm going to sit over here, very calmly and methodically secure this 3rd base. Not going to give EnDerr any openings. EnDerr really would like to force a trade, but as those queens and Banelings come over, backing off patiently, 2 Banelings work towards the natural, but the door is closed.
Yep, queens are going to start working on that Overlord as well. And they're looking for a free pickoff, but it's just impossible. There are too many Banelings. There are 5 Banelings right now. As 1 Baneling comes in from EnDerr, that's kind of cool, but 1 Bane is not enough. Maybe the links can run into the natural or the main. Nope. There is a Neo wall off, so that's not going to work out either. I think it's kind of funny how Serral canceled Evo and then remade one of the Evos. I am starting to be pretty pretty worried here for EnDerr because once again, it's not really going anywhere. Maybe we can get the queens. That would be a start.
Oh, this is just such methodical, careful defense from Serral. You can tell that EnDerr's trying to keep him busy, keep the pressure up, and look for openings. But every step of the way, I mean, Serral's the kind of guy who's just locking that door on the natural with the wall off. And you can see EnDerr's building up 14 roaches. He's going to go for a gigantic roachling bane attack. It is an all-in, only 34 workers. Problem is, Serral here already has Carapace, so he's got an extra upgrade, and he's massing his own roaches. So Serral's doing the same sort of attack as EnDerr, just with a handful more workers a little bit later. And now that he sees the attack coming, he can just sit back, hide his roach count. When EnDerr goes in, he is going to see even more roaches than he has, as well as defensive banelings. I mean, that's just the exact counter to what EnDerr's got. Serral here, methodical defense of multiple waves of attack. He is way ahead.
Yep, and Serral is indeed way ahead. I mean, this kind of feels like running into a brick wall. A couple of banelings are going to try to make the difference here. But I think Serral's like, well, this is kind of nice. I was perhaps planning on attacking you, but if you want to make it a lot easier and fight on my side of the map, where I will have the defensive reinforcements, I'll take that any day of the week. At this point, Serral has slightly more units out on the map, but an even better thing for Serral is obviously that he's still up in workers and he's up a full upgrade as well. Now, maybe it's kind of hard to close out a game, right, with slow roaches. I don't think that Serral can just march to the other side of the map and end it. But whatever happens, it's going to be okay for Serral because he's still ahead in the upgrade department.
Absolutely. Well, Serral is committing pretty hard to this counterattack. He does have that carapace advantage, so EnDerr wisely not taking any kind of questionable Ling fights, wants to make sure his banelings are in there to equalize that. Serral here still building more and more Zerglings. EnDerr likes a kind of dynamic wild game. Serral comes in though, sees no drones on the third, and he starts droning up behind that. So Serral here, at this point, posturing more than anything. He's kind of clearing out overlords with queens. He's got a few banelings at home defensively. Serral cancels a big Ravager morph on the other side. He sees EnDerr's coming forward, and he sees that EnDerr wants to fight him.
Yeah, I actually think Serral needs to be a little bit careful because his lair is about to finish up, so then he can start his roach speed upgrade. But if you don't have that yet, it's a little bit dangerous to just be chilling on the other side of the map with your slow roaches, especially if you send all of your Zerglings at home. I mean, in the end, not too much has changed. Serral is obviously still pretty comfortable in this spot. He knows that his opponent has been making a lot of units, and often a little bit earlier than he did. But he needs to be careful though, Pig, because Serral's lead is not that big that he can possibly lose this game, right? If he overcommits to a bad fight on EnDerr's side of the map, then it can actually backfire real quick.
Absolutely, especially with these big packs of Lings out. This is like a weird situation you get to after these early attacks are kind of gone for, postured for, but neither player wants to actually overcommit to the other side, you know? They both pulled back when they got to the other side of the map and saw that the opponent matched them. So you end up with these giant Ling run buys that if they get in there and there's not enough defense, they can just tear the economy apart. Likewise, they can run into two Banelings and all your Zerglings die and do absolutely nothing. I mean, once you get to 150, 160, 170 supply, which is where we're getting, they're not going to do much in a head-to-head fight against the roaches themselves. So the Zerglings are much more of a utility unit that you keep an eye on because they have so much backstab potential. But right now, that's a big push coming out for Serral and EnDerr. He's caught mid-droning right now. I think he's going way too hard on the economy.
He went up to 60 as he now has his own lair as well, and he can start his own roach speed. But just look at the minimap. There is blue coming in from multiple angles. One of those Ravages is a little bit exposed as well at the start of this battle. All the Zerglings are going to run into the third base. I don't see any defensive Banelings there. And there is in all sorts of trouble here, Pick.
Yeah, he's going to need to pull some drones into this fight and barely needs to buy time. But without even roach speed, it's hard to get the concave going. Notice how Serral has a lot more ability to reposition. Even Overlord's going down to Corrosive Bile. Lings are going to snipe the third base, and Serral's going to win the fight on the front. I think this just looks like a textbook game one. And GG, good game. EnDerr forced to tap out there. Serral, textbook start to finish.
Yeah, it was a very clean game, I think, by Serral, because he knew exactly what was happening. I think that's the beauty of having Overlord spread out across the map. You can kind of see how many Zerglings are running to the other side of the map. When is the second wave of Zerglings coming? And then he also saw the roaches marching out. And Serral was playing it very safe because he was already building his roaches. It's like, well, I'm not in any danger at this point, and I know that I'm ahead. I know that I started getting upgrades a lot quicker than you did. I'm a bit confused by the way that EnDerr played that game, to be perfectly honest, because a couple of first I felt like he's trying to make him overreact, and then I thought he would build a lot of drones at home. I think you were on the same page as me. It's like, that could have actually worked, because then it's 3 bases against a guy who's really respecting the potential link flood. But then he made more links. It was like, what is it? Are we attacking? Are we droning? Like, are we trying to scare our opponent? Like, I actually didn't really know what the game plan was there. And Serral just used his game sense. He's like, well, I think all of this is fine. I don't really care what you're doing. I know that I'm ahead.
What can I say? EnDerr just put on his dancing shoes, I feel, in that game, and he was ready to tap dance. He's like, come on, dance with me. And Serral was like, no. He just said, I don't dance. He sat in the corner of the hall and he said, no, I'm not coming to the Ling Bane dance. I think, EnDerr hoped to create some chaos and get some backstabs going, defend at home, but as you said, I mean, I was about to say, okay, I think this style is kind of what you said, force the overreaction, maybe even skip the Baneling Nest entirely, right? Really take advantage of that big map distance and cut a corner there. But in the end, going for the Ling Bane distraction, keep them busy, look for openings, follow up with a big firm roach push. This sort of style is classically used on a smaller map, a map like Submarine, which of course Serral did veto. Definitely a map where I think that's got a bit more chance of working. On that map with so much distance across it, it's very hard to surprise them with the roach attack unless you've already created some chaos. I think the one piece I would have liked to see from EnDerr to adapt that strategy is one aggro queen out early, chasing overlords and pushing back the vision and kind of sneaking those Ling run-bys out a little bit more so that Serral was kind of only seeing them as they arrive at his side of the map. Maybe that adds a bit more of a dynamic play to it. That being said, EnDerr's second queen wasn't out until like the 4-minute 30 mark. It was like a very one queen style. It would have to be a different build order. So you're like, it would be nice if he just had a bonus queen that he could just spend to push back vision. As it is, though, Serral, I think, a good confidence boost in game one.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, EnDerr did have a lot of Zerglings out early on, and you can try to create some chaos, and then even now and then players start falling apart, right? One queen suddenly doesn't get sent back to hatchery, so you surround the queen, you pick that off, but we know that Serral is safe and sound when it comes to just defending and, like, a little link skirmish, a little Baneling run by. It's very hard to outplay Serral like that. I have the feeling that if EnDerr wants to win, he just needs to go all out, put all of his eggs in one basket, whether it's a greedy Muda opening or a Nidus play, but trying to do like the multitasking and then trying to outmaneuver, the big Jonas Satala. I don't know if that's the right approach, but we'll see what game 2 brings as we have loaded into Death Aura. In the bottom right side, we're looking at the man who won the season finals during the DreamHack SC2 Masters summer. It is Serral.
And the underdog up here in the top left-hand side of the map in the red. He crushed through Oceania and really dominated that region this season, showed that the veteran has still got what it takes to bounce up there with the big dogs in his region. Can step up to the plate in the top left. It is EnDerr. And another pool first opening here, Kev. So definitely seems to be favoring this. The gas a little bit later this game, though. So I do expect that hatchery to be going down a bit faster. And I don't think he's going to be rallying Zerglings. I think it's just going to be an early queen, maybe 2 Lings to poke across the map and, a little bit of a different follow-up. As I say that, actually saving lava, so maybe we will see another 6 Zerglings. This might just be the way he is comfortable opening right now. Really wants to put the pressure on from the start.
Maybe this time he's actually going to go all out. Maybe that game 1 was a setup for a game 2 or a game 3 strategy if we would ever get there. Where it's like, at first I'll fake it and then I'll actually properly do it. But then obviously it is going to be very important to take some eyes away from Serral on this map. Because if Serral sees these attacks coming, he will know exactly what to do. And while these Lings are marching to the other side of the map, Pick, I have a question for you. Because I think a lot of us Europeans, I watched a little bit of the Oceanic region, but obviously not every single game. If you have to compare EnDerr to 1 or 2 European Zergs, who would you say that he plays somewhat similar to?
Ooh, that's kind of hard because let's be real, Europe is a region of complete normies strategically, especially the Zerg players, Roddy. He's got a little bit of Bly in him, but not quite as, Bly is definitely a bit more of a specialist, I would say. Maybe a bit of a Vanya.
Okay.
A bit of Vanya, yeah.
All right, I can get behind that one. You know that I'm in love with Vanya, so that works out for me. So far, this Link skirmish doesn't really work out for EnDerr, though, as he dropped 3 Zerglings. Serral only 1. We now see the 6 additional Zerglings on the production tab. And I kind of hope big that he just builds nothing but links here, even though that may be a bit underwhelming to some people. No, it's gonna go back into droning again. I'm just so confused. Like, I don't see...
you know what? I think it's with Serral and how comfortable he is sitting at home, I'm okay with it. Like, you know, we see in the European meta, even when people have Ling Bane, they often just chill at home and just drone and take their third. So even 9 Zerglings, I think, can keep your opponent at home. Yeah, straight into lair behind it. It's a much greedier follow-up this time. Okay. Skipping the Baneling nest, teching up. I'd like to see extra gases and muters behind this, but definitely looking like a much more corner-cutting opening from EnDerr. It's going to have a much sharper tech follow-up.
Well, Serral's got a different follow-up as well, though, as we see 10 Zerglings on the production tab, and I thought for a second he may just make nothing but Zerglings. As he already pocketed a couple of them, he now goes for another defensive Roach Warren, so it's actually a bit similar to what we saw in the previous game with that early Carapace as well. And there obviously doesn't want to be losing too many Zerglings, because we know that he's playing pretty greedy at home, so you don't want to spend too much lava right now on rebuilding the links you're losing on the other side of the map.
He really wants to get an Overlord, but Serral's Lings are getting real close, and you don't want to be caught too far out on the map. Those Lings need to get behind the Queen, but losing the Lings is a big problem. EnDerr does have more Lings coming on out, blocks the wall off, starts the upgrade, which I think might be a fake. I'm not 100% sure whether or not we're going to see that one continue. EnDerr is still only on 1 gas right now, so he really needs to get more gases going, no matter what the follow-up is. EnDerr on 31 drones, 35 for Serral, and Serral with the much quicker third base.
I mean, this has only been a 4-minute game, but for the last 2.5 minutes, Serral really has been mining quite a bit more resources than EnDerr did, and that really adds up very quickly in a ZVZ, where you can spam out those Zerglings so quickly, or just queue up a whole bunch of roaches. We'll see if EnDerr can find a little victory here or there. Maybe if the Lings of Serral make it to the other side of the map, maybe these Lings can get some damage done on the hatchery, but I think it's going to be difficult with the Queens in the area as well.
Yeah, so many Lings being built, and obviously Carapace is about to kick in. This is like 60 plus Zerglings. Serral is just holding down the Zergling key. The wall's closed. I don't know, he's built so many Zerglings. If I was Serral, I'd almost be tempted to click on the Roach Warren and try to bust this. Like, EnDerr is actually droned up to a small worker advantage and is saying, whoa, you're building a crazy number of Lings. EnDerr's keeping his own Lings alive on the map, ready to backstab. He's just starting to add his own Roaches methodically and calmly. He's got to be very careful, though, to not take that third too quickly. The real thing here for EnDerr is like, cool, I'm ahead on workers. Now, how do I ever secure a third base? Well, you don't. You just go for the worm, apparently. Not a bad choice.
I actually like that choice as well, because it feels that trying to go up to 3 bases would be way too difficult, as we do see these Zerglings finding a little bit of success as one of the Queens is going to get picked off. I actually kind of like it. Now, obviously, the big question is, where is this Knight is going to go up, and will it be able to go up the first time? Because if Serral finds it and just denies it one time, I think it's going to be a very easy hold. I also feel that EnDerr should almost not do it too early, right? Like, you need at least a decent amount of roaches. He's got 14 now. Maybe on the left side of where the... Oh, he goes for the main under an Overlord of Serral. Let's see if Serral's paying attention.
All or nothing. Serral's Roaches are actually not moving into the main. Okay, now he's moving in the right direction. These Roaches should get the unload. The Lings are on their way back. Lings hit the third base of Serral at the same time. They get another Queen on the third, and it's going to be a big unload in the main base. Can EnDerr get together? That is a lot of Roaches. Queen's joining in as well. He's trying to jump on top, but Serral's Ling count. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Serral's got so many Zerglings. Almost feel Serral should go for the surround, and that is exactly what he does. These Queens will get trapped, so there's no way home for them. The Nidus gets shut down in the main as well, and yeah, EnDerr is going to be forced to Nidus one more time, but Serral does find this one as well in the center, and at this point, every second that goes by is fantastic for Serral, of course, as he's working off 3 hatcheries. EnDerr is only working off 2. I thought the Nidus was an alright call, given the circumstance. It's just Serral had way too many units.
Yeah, that's the early mining advantage, right? It's easy to look at the last minute of that game and go, but wait, Serral's down on workers. He's not ahead. And it's like, no. It's like, you've got to remember that there was minutes before that where EnDerr was rushing up the tech tree. He went for that really early gas and pool. And I think you can't underestimate the impact of that. You mentioned it right from the start of game 1. Hey, this needs to really do something. If you commit gas pool 6 Zerglings, that slows down your economy a lot right from the 1.5, 2 minutes into the game. That has an impact. EnDerr comes in, does a nice contaminate, But Serral here, he does not want to let this game sit. If he lets +2 kick in, his carapace is not going to be effective anymore, right? As it is, right now, his Lings are going to tank 3 roach shots each. He has a huge army and a giant push coming in.
Well, Pig, it's very simple. They both have 32 roaches. It's just that Serral also has 45 Zerglings out on the map. And on top of that, there's a few more drones out as well. It seems like Serral doesn't really want to commit. Maybe not 100% confident he can close out the game here. So he's just going to go back into droning while still sitting on that early carapace advantage that he has built for himself. Yeah, I think we can really go back to the beginning of the game. Like, a lot of people may think it's like not that big of a deal, right? You take a pull, you take a gas, but then you still expand. But it's basically 4 drones that are not mining minerals in the beginning of the game that could be mining minerals. That on top of that, where you could be making drones, you make the 6 Zerglings. You don't want to call it an all-in because clearly the game is still going on. But it really is a big commitment for a Zerg player to open up like that. And you need more other than forcing out a couple of Zerglings from a stronger economy than the one that you're working with.
100%, Kevin. I think it's a massive thing. Look at this. Serral's got Overlord speed. EnDerr's, he really wants to kill some Overlords on the map. He's had these Ravagers hunting, and they can't really find anything, and all these Overlords are on these really erratic patrol paths all over the map. Serral's so methodical at setting that up. EnDerr's going to come across. +2 is about to kick in, but Serral's is only a few seconds behind. He's easily going to have time for his to kick in, and he still has that big Roach Ravager army, about equal in Roach Ravager, plus the 40 Zerglings for Serral.
Yep, and 40 Zerglings are excellent. They may be trapping a couple of these units as well. Serral should probably bring the Zerglings. That is exactly what he's going to do. You can see him trying to get a couple of his Roaches on top of the Ravagers of EnDerr as well. And Pig, this doesn't really seem like a fair fight. There is way too much blue and simply not enough red.
Yeah, that is it. I mean, Serral, he doesn't want to dance. He starts out shy, but when he's built up a big enough army, yeah, he's gonna force the fight. And he jumps on top, smashes through that army, scouts everything every single step of the way, blocks